Here is the second measurement page. This is page 52. Haley measures the width of her storage unit in meters and in centimeters. Which statement is true about the measurements of the storage unit? Well, the first thing I want to know is, how are meters related to centimeters? And I know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So it takes more centimeters to cover a space than it takes meters. It takes 100 times more. It takes more centimeters. A says it takes fewer centimeters than meters. That is not true. That is a no. It takes more meters than centimeters to cover the unit or to measure the unit. That is a no. It takes the same number of centimeters and meters to measure the unit. That is definitely a no, because they're not the same unit. It takes more centimeters, 100 times more than meters to measure the storage unit. So the answer to this one is D, as in Delta. And let me just be sure that I didn't, sometimes I write notes that I need to tell you on my page in the book. Just be sure that I don't have any for that one. I actually do, but we talked about it. So that one is D, as in Delta. What is the height of the billboard in meters and centimeters? And this is a little hard to see, so let me try to draw it in for you. Here's the measuring stick. This represents a meter. So we have 1 meter, 1 meter. You can see where I'm going with this. 1 meter, 1 meter, and 1 meter. So you have 5 meters. I look down here and I can eliminate B and D because I know that I have to have 5 meters. The question is, for each of those meters, how many centimeters? Well, centi means 100th, so there are 100 centimeters for each one of these, and that will allow us to pick our answer. How many total centimeters would you have? That would be C, as in Charlie. A carpet sample is 800 centimeters long. How many meters long is the carpet? So if you know to just divide, you can absolutely do that. If you don't, this is a way that will work every single time. Set yourself up a proportion. You know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. And we want to convert 800 centimeters. And when you solve this proportion, you will have 1 times 800, which is 800, and divide that by 100. 8 divided by 1 is 8. That is equivalent to B, as in Bravo, 8 meters. This proportion method will always do a conversion for you if you need it. Which of the following sets of measurements would be the width of the same room? So does 7 meters equal 7 centimeters? No, they would be the same unit if they were the same. 7 meters equals 700 centimeters. So it's not this one. 300 meters equals 3 centimeters. No, 300 meters would equal 300 times 100, or 30,000 centimeters. So that's a no. 20 meters equals 20 centimeters. Oops. 20 meters would be 20 times 100, or 2,000 centimeters. That's a no. 6 meters equals 600 centimeters. That is the true one. Same room, measured in meters or centimeters. That is the true one. These are not true. Whoops, those are true, but these are not true. Tim and Ethan both measured the length of the same shelf. Tim says the shelf is 3 meters. Ethan says the shelf is 3 centimeters. Are they both correct? No. First of all, a 3 centimeter shelf would be for an ant. I mean, it's going to be a very small shelf. So I'm suspecting that Tim is right, if anybody's right. I don't think Ethan is. Which of these is the best explanation? They are both correct because they measured the same shelf. The measurements should be the same. They should be the same, but they're not the same. There's no way they can both be correct. One of them is wrong because the shelf would be fewer centimeters than meters, and that is not true. It would be more centimeters than meters. So I agree that one of them's wrong, but not for that reason. They are both correct? No, they're not. Meters and centimeters are not equal units of measurement. One of them is wrong because the shelf should be fewer meters than centimeters. And that one is a yes. There are more centimeters. And that's what that statement is saying. I hate those kind of problems. I will tell you that most often in my experience, if you just had to guess at this, pick the last one, because they're going to make you go through every one of them to find the right answer. Now, that's not surefire always true, but it tends to be true more often than not. The table shows measurements for the width of the living room and a width of a dining room. What is the width of the dining room in centimeters? Well, we know that 7 meters times 100 is 700 centimeters. So 5 meters times 100 would be 500 centimeters. And I like that for answer D, as in Delta. Not a lot of math to do there. It's just brain bending stuff for me. I hate those kinds of questions, but you can do them if you take your time.